Hello, I'm Lisa from MediaStar Promotions Design Studio. Since we've been sending out hand sanitizer bottles to all our offices due to COVID, we've gotten several requests for funnels to refill the bottles. And since we have the two different model MakerBot 3D printers, we thought, why not use Google Sketchup and the printing software to create and print funnels? That is what our video will be about today. Let's start by talking about our MakerBot 3D printers and how they work. There are three main parts to each machine: the build plate or platform, the filament, and the extruder. The build plate is the surface on which your model will be printed on. On the MakerBot Replicator 2X, the build plate is heated. This keeps the material from cooling too quickly and makes it easier to remove when the model is completed. You don't have to, but we put painter's tape down on our build plates to prolong the life and to prevent scratching. If you do this, you must make sure the tape is level across the whole plate to allow for a smooth, even printing surface. The filament is material used to create your model. There are different types of filament, the two most common being ABS and PLA. Both of these materials have different properties, such as rigidity and melting points, which will require different settings in the program. The extruder is the part of the machine where the filament is fed. When you start printing, the extruder pulls in a piece of filament, melts it down, and then spreads it into thin layers until your object is completely built. Think of the way a hot glue gun works, where the filament is the glue stick and the glue gun is the extruder. Here at MSP, we use Google Sketchup to create 3D models. Since we are creating a funnel for an existing bottle and need a specific size, we have decided to create the model ourselves. If you're looking for something specific to print and you don't have the ability to create it yourself, there are a few websites you could check to see if a model already exists. Thingiverse and 3D Warehouse are excellent places to find some 3D models that have already been created by others and are free to download. To make our funnel, I created the outline of a section and then rotated it around a shape, in this case, a circle. I checked the model and cleaned up any extraneous parts that would interfere with the 3D printing. To make it easier to remove the model from the platform when it is done, I created supports for the model to rest on. Now I can export the model as a .stl file, which is the file type the printing software uses. Let's open the model in the MakerBot 3D printing software and get started. Check to make sure that your imported file is scaled correctly and sitting in the center of the platform and is seated on the platform itself. Next, you want to check that your settings are correct for the type of filament you are using. In this case, we are using ABS, so we put the temperature down to 220 degrees Celsius and the build plate temperature down to 110 degrees Celsius. Double check the rest of your settings, like rafts and printing speeds, to make sure they are all correct. The raft is the printed piece between the model and the build plate. This is to hold the model in place and is taken off after the printing is complete. Printing speeds will depend on many things like material, model, and temperature, and should be tested prior to your final print. At this point, we can preheat the machine or just hit print. Both of our machines will preheat before doing anything else anyway. This step is where the extruder and the build plate are warmed to the correct temperatures. Once heated, the build plate will move up to the extruder so the machine can detect where to start printing and set up in the right location. A test line will be printed across the build plate, and then the printing of the raft will begin. After this, the model will start printing. Depending on your project, it may take a while to print. On average, our funnels take an hour and a half, and it's important to check on it periodically. It is super important to make sure that you're there when the model finishes, because certain types of filament can cool faster than others, even when the platform is heated. Carefully remove the model from the platform and make sure to take off the rafts and supporting structures quickly so they don't cool and harden to your model. If the tape on the platform is ripped or is no longer smooth, make sure you turn off the printer and let it cool before attempting to replace it. You now have a final completed funnel. Thanks for joining us to learn all about 3D printing, and we'll see you soon for our next video.